Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are digging into some really elegant architecture from Jefferson Lucas. He's integrated two very different high-performance computing modules.
Wildly different. On one hand, you have the Helios QE24007, which is a quantum state visualizer.
And on the other?
Tron World 01 Ben, a completely chaotic optimization solver.
And the core challenge here, really, is getting stability and chaos to play nicely together.
Exactly. You've got this delicate quantum simulation that needs perfect equilibrium, and it's colliding with a hugely memory-hungry, non-deterministic script.
So Lucas's answer is something he calls the dynamic disk loading protocol.
And that protocol is what lets the stable visual system stay alive while this heavy, unpredictable payload just runs wild in the background.
And the real gem here for any systems engineer listening is seeing the bare metal techniques he used.
Oh, yeah.
Things like sidestepping Python's global interpreter lock to GIL, but using those tricks specifically for stable scientific visualization.
Okay, so let's start with the host, the quantum heartbeat.
The QE24007.
Right. Its main visual is this display of 24 orbiting electrons. And it's crucial to understand this isn't just...
Not just some fancy graphics.
No, not at all. It's actually a system telemetry mechanism. It's the visual pulse of the entire system.
So if the payload, the Tron world part, suddenly spikes the CPU,
the electrons stutter, or they contract.
it gives the engineer this immediate sort of precognitive feedback, a visual warning that something's wrong, way before you'd ever check a log file.
And to make sure that warning actually means something, the host is never idle. It's always under load. It's constantly simulating the massive computational drag of something called magic state distillation.
Which is basically the hard work of purifying a quantum state.
That's it. So the host's stability is always being tested against a heavy, realistic baseline before the real chaos even starts.
Okay, so you have this stable host. Now it's ready for the payload, Tron World 012.
And its job is tackling the traveling salesperson problem, TSP.
Which is famous for getting stuck in what are called local minima.
Right. It's like a hiker finding a pretty deep valley and just assuming it's the lowest point on the whole map.
It's a good solution, but it's the best one.
So to jump out of those valleys, Lucas uses what he calls the Flash Method. It injects these huge bursts of randomness.
Entropy bursts.
Yeah, they just fracture the current route map, forcing the solver to look for a better, more global answer.
But that whole process has to be incredibly fast.
Right.
Or the host would just lock up.
And that's where he uses the NumbaJIT compiler, Engine.
To compile the Python functions straight into machine code.
The speed increase is it's phenomenal. You go from maybe 10,000 paths a second to over 4 million.
Wow.
And that raw speed is the key. It's the prerequisite for making this whole architecture stable.
Okay, speed solves one problem. But what about data corruption? The TSP solver is juggling coordinates for, say, 1,000 cities.
A huge amount of data.
How do you stop that from leaking into the quantum host's memory?
Well, this is where the Disk13 protocol comes in. It's a custom loader. It doesn't import the payload like a normal module.
It reads it as raw text.
As a raw file, yes. And it puts everything into a clean, restricted dictionary. A sandbox called self.context.
It's like a watertight bulkhead on a ship.
That's a perfect analogy. The volatile data from the TSP solver is completely sandboxed. It can't touch the host.
Which is how you decouple the system state from the problem state.
So there's one last piece. A problem every HPC engineer faces.
How do you see your results when there's no monitor?
Right. HPC clusters don't have X11 or Wayland windowing systems, so any normal visualization code just crashes.
Lucas's fix here is another bare metal trick. He forces the EGL backend using environment variables.
And he chose EGL because it's built for headless operation. It's the standard for embedded systems.
So the GPU renders everything, the electrons, the Tron grid, directly to its own internal memory, the frame buffer.
And then that raw byte stream gets piped straight to FFmpeg.
And you get a perfect 60 FPS video file, generated remotely with no screen ever involved.
So if we just pull it all together.
This architecture, this blueprint, it successfully separates the system state, those stable 24 electrons,
from the problem state, the chaotic, high-speed TSP simulation.
Which is what allows for real-time visual debugging on these incredibly complex systems.
And if you think about the bigger picture here, there's one last little detail Lucas included, Tron centering logic.
Right, which takes this massive 3,500 unit map and automatically shifts it to the origin so it fits on the tiny 100-unit display.
Exactly. So here's the thought to leave you with. If real-time visual feedback is this critical for simulation, what other enormous computational problems are completely invisible to us right now simply because we haven't yet built the right centering logic to see them?